Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Justice in Every Breath interview series. For those of you who are new to Moms Clean Air Force, we are a community of 1.6 million moms, dads, and caregivers united to protect children from air pollution and the urgent crisis of climate change. My name is Jayne Black, and I am the Wisconsin Field Organizer for Moms Clean Air Force. Today, I'm joined by Maily Kocinski, a Wisconsin mom, educator, and community advocate who has been researching the environmental impacts of large data centers being built near her community in Beaver Dam. Maily has been raising important questions about transparency, accountability, and how these projects could affect local air quality and public health. Maily, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Maily, why don't you give us a little background on your story? When did you first hear about the proposed data center in Beaver Dam, and how much has been built so far?
So I live 1.6 miles from the Meta data center construction site. It was a farmland. It was my elementary school when I was a kid. I bought the farm across the road from my childhood home. So I live next to my parents. So I've lived here my entire life. And at our local township meetings, we heard about some of the farmers that were being approached by a broker from Alliant Energy that if they could find a buyer for everything, would they all sell at the same time? And then Alliant had 10 years to find a buyer. Next thing we knew, the land got annexed by the municipality, by the city, and it went to rezoning from ag land at the county level, which went through right away. And about a year later, all of a sudden, we heard that it was going to be a data center and construction was beginning. And most of us were like, what's a data center? Because there's regular data centers that we've had for a long time, and then these hyper scale AI data centers, which is what this is. And that's when we all started getting together to try to look at what was happening down the road from us and what was involved and what all of that meant. There are 3-4 farm fields between my house and the data center, and a quarry, like a gravel pit. And we have a big creek that goes through our front yard. It's about 20 feet wide, 4 to 6 feet deep. And it started going dry. And I had made a social media post about it, like, isn't this weird? And by the end of the day, I had like 400,000 views, and people were saying, you don't live near a data center, do you? And then I really started diving into exactly what was going on around me.
Wow, that's a lot. You know, here you are, and all of a sudden, this is absolutely impacting your life. You spoke a little bit to how it is affecting the land, but tell us a little bit more about your home and the land and how it's been directly impacted by the construction of this data center.
Well, we're not entirely sure exactly what's going on here. My original assumption was that it was the quarry. We I would go down to do. We have horses. We have about 7 acres, and the creek meanders through our front property between our home and the barn. So I go across it every day. It's in beautiful view from our front window, and it was just completely dry. The first time it happened, it smelled terrible, like fertilizer. And so we called the DNR to report right away. They came out, took water samples, and this happened on and off all summer long, to the point by November last year, it was dry half of the time. And
Wow.
when that water would come back, it would come rushing so fast that everywhere it meanders, it was eating away our shoreline, up to 60 inches, and pulling down trees in some of the parts. So as we continue to try to research into it and find out exactly what was going on, the DNR, by the way, there's one mining officer who inspects mining permits for the entire state of Wisconsin. He said that they did not believe it was the quarry. And I didn't know about the data center yet because it made no sense to me. It's not even up and running yet. And, some of the commenters on my social media said to look into dewatering and the construction process. So they do deny doing dewatering per se, but they are dynamiting twice a day on the site to move a lot of earth. I mean, it's around 800 some acres, the entire structure, and trying to look at, are we possibly opening up groundwater from those aquifers that has not been, chemicals and elements in their elements that have not been exposed to oxygen or the surface, and are now broken up and loose and moving in that groundwater. Because sometimes you saw in the picture, when that water comes back, it's clear, or it's thick and white like milk.
Yeah.
And just trying to figure out where that's at, that
That's
research.
it's so scary. You know, as a mom myself, I can only imagine how concerned you are about, you know, these impacts. How did you feel? And what concerns do you have regarding, you know, your own family's health?
Well, I mean, it's not just the water. There's moments throughout the summer when our grass was white. It looked like film all over it. That construction dust is so thick and so high that I drive a pickup truck, and when I go past the site, there are times where you have to pull over because you can't see past, can't even see to the hood of your truck. And you know, even being 1.6 miles away, that is moving through the air, and we are breathing that in, and whatever is in this water, we've not had a lot of luck finding answers because the DNR is so understaffed and underfunded. So they've been wonderful trying to come out and help, but sometimes when that water is milky white, I can't get anyone out here for 2 or 3 days to come and take a sample. We eventually sent our own sample in and have found that our water is not drinkable. We have to put in a filter system. There's strontium in our water, which is consistent with deep aquifer activity sometimes, can be in the bedrock. There's things that we're looking into. Is this being broken loose and moving through that groundwater system? Different things. We have well water. So if you live in the city, you have municipal water that goes through the water treatment plant. We have well water, and we have to test that, and we have to test the creek. And there's elements of construction activity in both.
My gosh. I'm sure you never imagined that you would be doing this, you know. It's really unfathomable. How have you pushed back against this project, and why is it so important for you to use your voice? I mean, you're doing a tremendous amount of work. This is like a part-time job for
It
you.
is.
So why has that been so important to you?
You know, it's really interesting as a mom when your kids get older and they need you for different things. My boys are both enlisted in the Air Force National Guard, and you know, they're still at home right now. One's got to graduate high school, but I want them to see that I can be a service to my community, and I can ask really hard questions that are not being asked by the people who have the ability to do something about this. And I'm not going to accept a surface level answer that is meant to dismiss me. I want them to be proud of the work that I'm doing and the research behind it, and my search for answers, not just for me, but also for them and my neighbors who have become my family. I'm a teacher. My students live here. They're my kids too. And we want to have a community that we can be proud of, and that we, you know, my city has this great reputation where people grow up and they go to college and they get all this education, and then they come home and they bring that expertise to their city. And I want that legacy to continue. I don't want everybody to leave because they don't want to be here by this data center anymore. I want it to be regulated. I want there to be some accountability.
Yeah.
And I want those questions to be answered in a trustworthy and non-biased way. And so that we can move forward and feel good about staying here.
Absolutely. You know, that powerful mom voice. It's very powerful. And it's beautiful, and you're doing such a fantastic job, and it is going to be a really loud message to your children in a powerful way. What if you could leave our viewers with a piece of advice, what would that be?
when this all started, it happened so fast and so rushed and so hushed. We're starting to work with other communities now that are also going through this and teaming together. And I think that's been a really beautiful part about working not only with other community members, but other moms. Our ego doesn't necessarily get in the way, and we're okay with not having all the answers. Somebody's got them. And if we can all pool our resources together and we can all ask questions together and find those answers, it's a really powerful way to move forward in a positive way. So we know now that there's a lot of unanimous LLCs that are being used to start these big projects, and some of them are sharing the name around the state. So when we can look into that, if one's coming, because we are not necessarily represented. My township, where this started, we cannot say no to our land being annexed by the city. So when that property site got annexed by the city, we can't say no, and we're not represented by the city. We still live in the township. And so we cannot move forward unless people are willing to speak up for us who have voting rights and power with the city council. So I'll do the research, I'll share what I know, but I can't do this without the people that I rely on in my city.
Absolutely. That we need our communities, that powerful community voice for sure. Well, Maily, thank you so much for being here, for sharing your story. I know that there's a lot more to this story, and we don't have the time to delve into every single detail, but we thank you so much for sharing, and thank you for what you're doing.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you.
Absolutely. To everyone else that is tuning in, we always like to leave you with a call to action, no matter where you're joining from. And we want to encourage you, especially after hearing Miley's story, stay informed as to what's going on in your community. Meet with your city council, meet with your mayor, your village board, ask them questions. Don't be afraid to use your voice. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Maily brought up a really great point. We don't have to have, all the answers, but there's so much education that does need to take place here. So please stay informed and get active in your community. We have field organizers all across the country working on the issue of data centers. So reach out to us, and there is a petition on the screen where you can tell your governor to take the lead on climate action. Thank you so much.
Thank you.